So that happened. It was really the French versus the British. So they say Indians because the French had Indians or Native Americans, whatever you want to say, at the time, just the native people helping them. And it was the first time that they tried to conquer North America. Britain and France both were fighting for North America. So the British win, and they're bankrupt. The British have no money left because how many freaking billions of dollars it takes? It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
for
money.
a war. So they got cleaned out. The British had no loot. So who do they look to? They look to the colonies, the 13 colonies, which we were always cool with them. It's just like an extension of England, were the 13 colonies, basically. All right. So it was just like we were like England's side piece in a way, like
we used to be. We were them. The people who came over here were
the Mayflower. Yeah, the people came over, the Mayflower and stuff. But it's not like you don't look at Puerto Rico like they're Americans. They are, but you don't look at it like that.
What do you mean?
Like a Puerto Rican, to me, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, Puerto Rico's another country," but it's an American Commonwealth. They're American citizens, Puerto Ricans.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's sort of the same thing.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like that was the mindset of it back then. It's like, yes, knowledgeable people like us, people that respect the empire, if you will. We would be like, yeah, of course Puerto Rico's a part of the country. But people in the middle of the country or the fucking deep south, like, nah, they ain't part of us. That's what colonies were to England, pretty much. It's like they had us, but they didn't really respect us. But they didn't really fuck with us too much. But then comes about money. They get cleaned out by the French and Indian War. Britain's got no money. So they start taxing the 13 colonies for really no reason. They just start taxing everything. They start taxing...
Well, for good reason. To get the money back.
But, according to us, no reason. Like, what? We didn't... we fought in your war. As a matter of fact, General George Washington was... I think a colonel in the French and Indian War. Yeah. So most of our great American heroes, George Washington, Paul Revere, Alexander Hamilton, all these guys, they fought in the French and Indian War. I don't know if Hamilton did. He may have been.
They were basically Kevin Durant on OKC, and then they went to Golden State.
Perfect analogy.
But they were always basketball players.
They're always playing ball.
They were always hooping.
They're always hooping. So, what happens then in 1765? We got what's called the Stamp Act, where Britain just turns around and says, "Listen, cuzzy wuzzies, we're just going to start. We're just." They say King George.
That's exactly how it happened, by the way. He said, "Listen, cuzzy wuzzies."
King George was eating a slice, and he said, "Listen, you fucking."
He said, "Listen, cuzzy wuzzies."
He said, "Listen, you fucking mooks.
Yo,
okay,
gather around.
Yo,
cuzzy wuzzies.
Cuzzy wuzzies. Listen, you guys.
Do you think they still had the? When did they lose the accents?
The Patriots?
I've never heard that in any historical documents or documentaries, book. When did we gotta research that? Like when did in other words, did George Washington, was he like, "Hello, my name is George Washington"?
Well, they all had, because look, they were born and raised here. They were born and raised in the colonies. Washington's Virginia, Jefferson's Virginia, all these guys. But yeah, you had British people with British accents all around you. But because we're so far away, we're on the other side of the ocean, it's not direct. Like, you could still tell, who's from London. People in England can tell, are you from Northern England, Southern England? Are you from Scotland? Like, to us, everybody just sounds like Shrek. I don't fucking know.
So we probably sounded to the Brits, the colonists, the colonialists, probably sounded to the Brits the way the Montreal Quebecers sound to the French.
Exactly.
They look at us like, that's a goofy accent.
Or we're speaking English, but like the way Debo talks. Like, Debo, just say a couple words. Just say, "Hello, my name's James Debo."
Hello, my name is James Debo.
Yeah, see, like that. Yeah,
soaked in a fucking cannoli.
So yeah, you sound like a sewer cap that just came to life. You sound like a magical spell. I just fucking took a sewer, and you're talking, and you're speaking English, but to a British person, that's to Bardo and his wasp.
He just dry heaved.
He seriously, he just started dry. Bardo just started dry heaving. Google Bardo Church, and you will see he started dry heaving when Debo said that, and that's what was happening back then. We spoke the language, and we were part of their territories, but the British soldiers especially, they thought we were fucking filth,
trash,
just gross trash, including George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, our elite people who actually had the ear of the king. They still thought we were fucking just dirty scum of the earth bullshit. So 1765 Stamp Act, we go fucking wild. were like, no, you're not gonna no taxation without representation. That's basically what it was. And Benjamin Franklin was like, listen to me. He went over to England.
Wait, he said, listen, cuzzies.
He said, listen, cuz, look, I know listen. He goes, I only got a few minutes here because I got syphilis bad. My dick is fucking dripping. I banged. Benjamin Franklin banged so many broads. That's why it's called Broad Street. That's why it's called Broad Street. Yeah.
Is that a fact?
Bro, he died of syphilis. Benjamin Franklin was.
He used to clean up bad?
Cuz he got puss left and right. That's why he's faced on the $100 bill.
Really?
Yeah, because he's got fucking punani.
Really?
Yeah, that's why his highest currency. They say, yeah.
Yo, a lot of our greatest men, like, really cleaned up.
Cleaned out, yeah.
JFK, cleaned up.
Cleaned up.
Martin Luther King, cleaned
up.
up. Benny Frank,
cleaned up. Derek Jeter, cleaned up. Yeah, these guys clean up.
Yeah.
So Benny Frank was getting puss left and right, and he eventually died of syphilis, as most people know. But that was a common thing. I mean, he would go to Paris. You know, people used to say that Benny Frank would, like, you know, need to talk to the French government, like he would make up some crisis that was happening in the colonies, so he needed to go. He needed the colonial the American government to send it to Paris to, like, talk to the king. But really, he just had puss out there.
He
had puss.
He had roadkill out there.
Yeah, he had road. Yeah, he was stinking it up.
Yeah.
Yo, let me tell you. And two, I mean, maybe we'll get to this one day, but the stench of the colonial times must have been fucking wild.
That's another thing. Yeah. You always wonder about the accents, and you don't always wonder, how did they smell back then?
Yeah, probably stunk bad.
Probably, like, how often do you think they showered?
I mean, showering was a luxury. Brushing your teeth was a luxury.
Yeah.
I mean, George Washington had wooden teeth.
He did.
Could you imagine how bad your teeth have to be to they're fucking made of wood?
Probably got some splinters in your gums.
Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they probably stunk bad. But you know what? Since everyone stank pretty bad,
yeah,
I bet you could probably tell the class of the person just smelling them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I bet you like Bardo's relatives. His people in his background. There's been a few guillotines. His ancestors beheaded a few people.
100%.
And they burned a few people. So I bet you, like, his ancestors, if they came around, they showered a lot, and they could tell. You could tell what your socioeconomic status is based on smell. I'd be like, this guy's a lowly farmer.
If Bardo could press a button right now and bring his ancestors from colonial times into this room right now, and he took one look around, his ancestors would put themselves in the guillotine. They would cut their own heads off because of how they cannot believe how far the economy and how far society has fallen, that Bardo and his WASP ancestors are now even in the room with. I mean, you just put snooze in your mouth. You understand? You have chewing tobacco on your lip right now.
I know. He's disgusting. Bardo got hired by an Italian guy from Sicily.
He used to take
and he's half Jewish too. Isn't he Serpico half Jewish?
Serpico's a fucking half Jew,
half
Italian. And now Bardo.
How do you eat in the office around him? That's tough for you. Deep down, it's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough for him.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he doesn't want to be a bad person. He doesn't want to feel that way, but it's in there.
Yeah. When Bardo will send an email like, "What do you guys want for lunch?" And Jim and Tom will say, "I want anything. Why don't you get spaghetti and meatballs?" He'll write, "Preposterous. Disgusting." Yeah, Bardo does. I guarantee you, if you just put your ear to Bardo's door, you'll hear.
Yeah.
Just once. You think he's jerking off? He's not. He's sighs.
He's dry heaving.
It's painful.
The Wasps at some point they just became very, very proper.
Right.
They just became, and that's how they are. Brits are very proper. That's the way they did warfare back then.
Right.
It was a gentleman's game. They wore red coats like fucking idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest way to spot somebody.
Dummies.
Americans, red, white, and blue. We figured out camouflage, baby.
That's what it is.
Blend in with your environment. Imitate the animals.
That's what it is. And Wasp, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
Terrible.
That's what that means. And just for the, because some people don't know what WASP is. I mean, Debo's over here thinking like, why are they mad at bees? Debo doesn't fucking know. Debo's like, I hate bees. I'm deathly allergic. I cry at the end of My Girl. Debo don't fucking know. So
he's a pilot. Cuz.
Yeah, Debo's a pilot. Yeah, wasps don't fly that high.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so 1765 stamp back, we go fucking ape shit. Then, basically what happens is Benjamin Franklin says no taxation without representation. So he's basically like, look, all you got to do is represent us in Parliament. That's it, and we're good. You can tax us whatever you want to do. Basically, the British government says no. So shit starts to go down, and of course, July 4th, 1776.
Big mistake, fuckers.
Yeah, big mistake.
First of all, let's just point it out. If you're listening and you're from Britain, big mistake. Benny Frank offered you a deal.
Yeah.
He gave us a good deal. It was a good fucking deal. Now, if you're a basketball fan, James Harden, he's leaving. He's going to Houston.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Now you're about to get fucked up. We're about to become the MVP, baby.
Yeah. You could have fucking did whatever you wanted to us. You could have taken shits on our chest, whatever you wanted.
You got greedy.
All you had to do was represent us in Parliament. But
we wanted one seat.
That's it.
One fucking seat.
Give me one seat. But, yeah. So, basically, British government says no. Because they say, you know what, we give you guys enough already. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You give us enough. You treat us like pieces of shit.
What have you done for me lately?
What have you ever done for me? You make us go fight in your wars. Like, we don't want to kill French and Indian people. No. That's not what we're about. No. We like them. They're nice people.
It's a hustle town. Even back then, we like to make money, drink, they go to the taverns. I love how everything back then revolved around taverns. Political meetings happened in taverns.
Yeah.
People hung out in taverns.
Yeah.
George Washington stayed at Francis Tavern for a week. You
After
know he was banging puss in there.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine the fucking wooden tooth? Could you imagine going down on a go with wooden teeth? That'd be nuts, cuz.
Might be a little something extra.
Yo.
Like a little friction there.
So, okay, so what this all sparks is this group called the Sons of Liberty. And now the Sons of Liberty are basically like a low-down, like, group, like, in the dark. Like, basically like, like a precursor to, like, the Illuminati, precursor to the Freemasons, all that shit. Sons of Liberty starts. Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, all these fucking guys. They start meeting up at taverns, and they start to say, like, look, cousins, we're not going to be ruled by the British anymore. We're going to declare independence. Now, back in the day, there was no Twitter, no nothing. You had to basically go house by house, colony by colony, we'll eventually become state by state, and let everybody know, listen, fuck the British, we're independent now. Because the British Army was up and down the 13 colonies. I mean, they had people stationed here. So, how was I supposed to know, even if I lived out on Long Island, that, in little taverns in New York, we're starting to stage our independence? I don't know. So it took a while for the independence to get around our country. It didn't happen overnight. Right now, just fucking tweet it out.
Right now, it goes quick.
I would send a tweet right out.
You'd actually have to get on a horse and go and tell people.
That's it.
You'd have to, but, most of the city back then was just Lower Manhattan, a tiny fraction of Lower Manhattan.
That's all
it was. Just farmland out in Long Island, but there was a lot of loyalists out there.
See, here's the thing. Okay, so if you know a little bit about New York history, wherever you listen to this podcast, in New York, and even you'll know Connecticut, Staten Island, the borough of New York. So Staten Island, New York is a very democratic city. Very democratic city. We always go blue. Democratic state, of course, New York. But Staten Island, a little sliver of it. Staten Island, which is an island, one of the 5 boroughs, island right off the coast of Brooklyn. Fucking me and Yanni P's hometown, Brooklyn all day, baby. Even though I was born in Queens, but
Queens,
Brooklyn, yeah, but Brooklyn, it's my agent told me a few years ago, it sounds better if you're from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. So
you're kind of like a Yankee spy amongst Mets fans.
Well, I'm on the borderline of Queens, Brooklyn.
I know, but all your friends are Mets fans.
They're all Mets fans, and I'm a Yankee guy.
You're a Yankee guy.
Yeah.
So you get to report back to Yankees fans about what these guys are doing.
And because I'm not like cop, fireman, criminal, pilot. They think because I followed my dream and I'm in art, they think that I just suck dick for a living. Yeah. That's what they say. Like, yo, you're just gay. Why don't you lick the microphone? They think I'm gay. I mean, they want to come to my shows and try to get puss run off, but they fucking think I'm gay bad.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll tell me. They say, well, Chris, doesn't matter what girls are at your show. You want their brothers. Whatever. That's why Debo's always there.
You want to go on a history tour with their brothers.
I want to go on a history tour, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, Debo said when he comes to Germany, he said he's going to take one bite of a bratwurst and stick the rest up his ass. That's what he said. So, Debo goes wild.
I mean, the guy's got good ideas.
So, basically, Staten Island, still to this day, typically votes Republican. Is typically great people, but they're typically very, very, very pro-America. They're very much like, we're not about, they have more conservative ideas. And even back then, in the 1700s, Staten Island, throughout the entirety of the whole Revolutionary War, stayed mainly loyalists. They were loyal to the crown. So back then you had the colonial freedom fighters, the patriots, not New England patriots, not fucking Tom Brady. You had patriots, American patriots, and then you had the loyalists who wanted to stay loyal to the crown. And there were reasons why they wanted to stay loyal to the crown. A lot of them owned businesses that the soldiers would come in and out of. A lot of them had just been brought up in that heritage of wanting to remain loyal. And as human beings, as Giannis and I, as we talk about this all the time, humans are very scared of the unknown. You could be living in shit. It's Stockholm syndrome, right? You're scared of the unknown. So a lot of people were saying, I don't know what freedom's going to look like, so I'd rather just not do that, and I'm just want to stay loyal to the crown. So they did that.
Also British propaganda.
Sure.
I mean, they were running stuff. They
Sure.
were running press and stuff and
Sure.
things like that, and A lot of those families were connected to British families. They made money together.
Sure.
A lot of those people out in Staten Island had land, and
Yeah.
you know, they were sending shit back to. You know, they were getting laced off with money.
Of course they were getting
So
yes.
yeah, they were kind of.
So it's like it's easy to say right now. Well, like, you know, how could you not want to fight for freedom? It's like, put yourself in their shoes right now.
They viewed probably the Sons of Liberty as like ISIS.
Right.
To the Brits
Right.
at that time.
Right.
Sons of Liberty was like ISIS.
That's what it was.
That's
oh yeah,
what
it
it
was
is.
disgusting. They all look like Zach. They all look fucking Zach face.
A revolutionary group that
Yeah.
was like trying to, you know,
I mean,
mess with their empire.
Think about it right now. I mean, we're owned by China. Could you imagine if what if I was like, you know what, I want to stay free from China.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, we want to do it, but then people are like, nah, I like being owned by China.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that was just a joke. I know a lot of people right now are stomping there. They hit fucking the brake pad on their trucks.
Look.
Yo, there was just a big buildup on the BQE right now because I just fucking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, boys. You know I'm just kidding around.
You're going to hear a lot of that on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's not for the sensitive.
Yeah.
This is history, not for the sensitive.
Yeah, they're mad right now. They're like,
That's
yeah.
right.
No, I'm not going to get my toilet.
We're not professionals. We're not professional historians, but we are historians.
We're not professional historians. We're history hyenas.
We are history hyenas.
So we just go for it. Also, the state of Connecticut. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, where Bardo. That's where Bardo goes to fucking jerk off. That's the WASP. That's the WASP fucking.
No, that's where he
headquarters.
goes for his eyes wide shut meetings.
Yeah, that's where Bardo goes to purge. He has
Yeah.
him there.
Yeah, they put on like animal heads and they walk around naked and they do
Yeah.
God knows what, do
Yeah.
cocaine, they sleep with whomever.
Yeah.
They drink the blood of lesser people.
That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So Bardo, so Connecticut is another place stayed mainly loyalist throughout the Revolutionary War, and the big reason why that happened is because places like Staten Island, places like Connecticut, these were the sought out after pieces of land that people in England wanted. That's why, you know, and it's from Colin Quinn's special. Go watch Colin Quinn's special, not New York Story. New York Story. Colin Quinn's special, New York Story on Netflix, fantastic. And he said this, and it's true. Is basically London, New London, Connecticut, which is just a whatever city right now in Connecticut. It's actually a nice city. It's on the coast of Connecticut. When you drive to I-95, anytime, you know, stop at a road stop over there, get McDonald's, you could see New London, Connecticut. You drive right through it. And that was named after London, England, because that was their prized possession. So they named it New London. York.
That's an easy one to guess too.
Right.
Like,
But
yeah.
it's like
New London.
But like Colin Quinn's joke, it's true. It's like New London was supposed to be the thing, and then New York is named after, as Colin Quinn says, the 6th shittiest city in England. And so New York was a nothing kind of city. I mean, it was something, but it wasn't as popular, they thought, as London, Connecticut, as New London, Connecticut. So that's why even till to this day, people will make jokes. Oh, Connecticut, waspy. You know, you're so rich, you're from Connecticut. That has roots back in colonial times because that's where the people from England, the big wealthy wasp people from England, wanted to come and settle in places like Connecticut and even Staten Island because you wanted to be by the water. Because basically you wanted to be like, look, if I don't like it there, I don't want to go so far inland. I want to get on my ship, I want to get my slaves, and I want to go back to England. That's what I want to do.
So you think Staten Island now is conservative because the vibe of that originated from when the Loyalists were out on Staten Island?
That, and I also think prices got too much in Brooklyn, and most of the Italian mafia had to move over the bridge. Those two reasons.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the latter might have had something to do with it too.
But cuzzies,
yeah.
Let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you something right now, okay? The next part of this podcast is going to get fucking nuts because I'm going to tell Yanni P and Chrissy D right now, the History Hyenas, we're going to devour. We're going to tell you. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you this part for free. New York City fucking basically should be the capital of the United States because, number one, you know New York's number one. Even if you're from Boston, you know everything comes in New York, okay? It's New York City, baby. We were taken over by the British immediately. Immediately. So by the war starts, 1776, in September 1776, the war starts pretty much August 1776. September 1776, this entire city, New York City, ran by the Brits. All of it ran by the Brits. But listen, there's always balance in the universe. There's always balance. So in the next part of this podcast, I'm going to tell you why, actually, it was the best thing to happen to us. Best thing to happen to the Revolutionary War was have the Brits take over New York right away. And I'm going to tell you why.
And listen, this ends the first part of our free podcast.
Yes.
If you want to listen to the next half hour, the second half, where we get wild, we're going to chew the bones of history.
Yeah.
In 1776, you want to go over to our Patreon page and, donate what you got to donate. Become a patron. And listen to the rest of the podcast behind the Patreon.
Go to patreon.com, do it, and then I'm going to tell you why it's okay to be a rat in 1776.
Patreon.com/BayRidgeBoys.
History Hyenas. All right. You guys have reached the second part. Patreon members, thank you so much for your generosity. Appreciate it. Supporting the Bay Ridge Boys. You guys are fucking wild. You're hyenas just like me and Yanni. So look, I said we're going to talk about spies in the Revolutionary War. It gets fucking dope and wild, but before you talk about man, you gotta talk about man's best friend, okay? And I want to turn it over to my best friend, Giannis Pappas.
Check this out, Cuzzy Wuzzies.
Let me see.
Dogs. Man's best friend, played an integral part in the Revolutionary War.
Cuzzy, how?
And the colonies. George Washington, the father of this country, the man himself, larger than life, had a valued dog.
Yeah? What kind of dog?
His dog was a hound. And guess what his name was?
Fucking what was I don't know.
You would probably think American Liberty. You'd probably think Red, White, and Blue. You'd probably think Star Spangled Banner. You'd probably think American Fur. No. His dog's name was Sweet Lips. His dog's name was Sweet Lips.
Sweet Lips.
And he brought Sweet Lips with him to the First Continental Congress in 1774. He rolled up with him on a leash, handed him to one of his slaves, probably, and went in there and did his business.
Yo, cuz, do you think back in the day, like somebody would yell at you if you didn't clean up your dog shit? Do you think you had to clean up dog shit back then?
I don't think you had to.
Or it was all part of the road?
It was part of the thing.
You think you had a better chance back then of stepping in dog shit or human shit?
There was a lot of horse shit.
Horse shit was
horse
huge.
shit. I mean, talking about that period. That's how everything moved around back then.
Cuz
horses.
Can you imagine the fucking smell of just all that horse shit?
Horse shit everywhere. Back then they hadn't built those things where you could shit into that little canopy that they hold under the horse's ass.
Yeah.
Now
they didn't have that.
Well, they didn't have that then, so the horse would just shit. There was horse shit everywhere.
Horses don't even shit; they dump. No. Horses take a dump.
Dude, the amount of diseases. One of the most interesting things about this period, especially in New York at that time, where by Trinity Church, where they held a lot of those POWs.
Yes.
Listen to this fact, cuzzies, sitting at home or in your car. You want to hear something fucking wild? Yeah. And then I'll get back into Marquis Lafayette.
And Cuzzettes, by the way.
And Cuzzettes, too.
Yeah.
Right? Want to hear something fucking wild?
Yeah.
What was it, like 6,000 plus people died?
6,000, like 6,200 roughly soldiers died.
Died in combat.
In combat.
3 times that number.
Over 18,000.
Over 18,000 soldiers that were POWs died as POWs.
Fucking wild.
How wild is that? Everyone always thinks about the dangers of the battlefield, but back then, the real dangers was Mother Nature, cuz.
Yeah.
Was diseases.
Yo, cuz Purell wasn't even invented yet.
Wasn't. So there was germs. That's how a lot of the British actually tortured the POWs. They just let them catch yellow fever and die slowly. They starved them out.
There's a famous prison ship called the Jersey. And it was off the, right off the coast of New York Harbor, right in downtown, right if you know Battery Park City. It was in the Battery. That a lot of that down there is landfill. But back in the day, the Battery is where British fleets would come in, right in Bowling Green Park. That's where they entered. And a lot of times, if the British government, okay, if you committed treason or you did something that was punishable by death, if they liked you, they'd shoot you in the head or hang you. That's what they like you. You know what? You're gonna die like a champ. We'll fucking put one between your eyes. We'll hang you. No problem. If they didn't like you, they would send you to the prison warship to Jersey. So you would think, oh, but you're sending me to prison. No, because they knew you were gonna die a slow, agonizing death. Cuzzies, the chances of you surviving the Jersey were small. Very, very, very small. As a matter of fact, at some point during the war, because it was killing it. Now it was starting to kill British soldiers. With about 8,000 prisoners, POWs, weakened and malnourished and dehydrated and fucking sick as shit, they sent it out into the middle of the water and they just lit the whole thing on fire.
Yeah.
Lit the whole thing on fire.
Slowly burned them to death.
Slowly burned them all to death.
The British were brutal, man.
Brutal, cuz.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
My family
it's brutal,
at that
dude.
time didn't even have a horse in the race.
No.
But if I had known, if my peoples who I'm made up of had known all the way from the Greek islands that I'm from, had known what was going on over there, we would have sided with who?
Yeah.
The Americans.
Cuz
we're freedom fighters in my blood, cuz.
I'm gonna be honest with you though, cuz back in colonial times, if you moved around with those glasses and a ponytail, I'd punch you right in the face. I would want to punch you right in the face. Yeah.
Cuz
We'd be boys back. We would be friends back then, me and you.
We'd be boys, yeah.
Would we be patriots or loyalists?
We would be patriots.
100%.
It's in my, I can't. I'm Greek.
You fight for the cause.
That's why Greeks don't even work at companies. All Greeks have their own businesses.
Yeah.
You own a cleaners, you own a restaurant, you have a diner. Greeks don't like having a boss. That's how much we love freedom.
Right.
I would be freedom. I'd be on a horse. I'd have a horse. His name would be fucking Hot Lips.
Yeah.
And I'd be riding around, letting people know.
Yeah.
That King George I is a fucking tyrant, and not in a good way. He's not tyrannical and like he wants to eat baked clams. I'm talking about this motherfucker's got to go down because I'm red, white, and blue, baby.
That's it. Did he have a dog? He had probably fucking little English bulldog. They stunk.
Who?
King George. He probably had a bullshit dog.
No, or he probably had like one of those just dogs that were bred. Actually, the Great Danes were bred to just be the dogs of kings. That's why they're so big.
Really?
Just to sit with kings and look massive.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of those little dogs were just bred to sit on kings' laps. But check this crazy fact out. As Chris was telling you, the French helped us because they hated the British.
Yeah.
The British and French hatred goes all the way back to the Battle of Hastings. We'll cover that on another fucking podcast. I told you we're fucking wild with knowledge here.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it, but we know what we're talking about. The British and French have always hated each other. But, like Chris said, the American colonialists and the freaking French, they teamed up. And the friendship and the partnership that exemplifies that the most, Lafayette, Washington.
Yeah.
Those two dudes.
Yep.
They loved each other, right?
Lafayette.
Marquis Lafayette, cuz.
You think they fucked around a little
It
bit?
could have.
Seriously.
You think
shit got gay back then bad?
They look good wearing those outfits, cuz, you know, you can look attractive.
Nice look.
Dude, they look like ice skaters.
Yeah.
They look like figure skaters.
Yeah.
Everyone dressed like a figure skater.
That's what it was.
With wigs on, cuz.
I'd like to see somebody in the Olympics do a nice figure skating routine with a powdered wig on.
That would be nice.
Just come out there.
I mean, those powdered wigs were a little feminine. They were like long hair.
It was a little...
And George Washington had
gay.
And George Washington had a nice butt. Now, he was a cutie with a booty.
He's a cutie with a booty. Yeah, but if you go down to Wall Street, if you go down to, like, right where the New York Stock Exchange is, they show Federal Hall, where George Washington supposedly received the nomination for presidency for commander-in-chief after we won our independence. If you go look at that statue, I took a video of it today. It's up on my Instagram. They made a nice statue of him. He's about 18 feet tall, but they gave him a puss. They gave him a puss.
I saw that. I noticed that.
They didn't give him a dick. They gave him a puss.
He's got a puss, and it's a long puss, too.
They gave him a long, which is fine. I mean, you know, women power. I'm all about it. Feminism, all that shit. But I'm telling you, he's got a full-blown. He's got an FBP, full-blown puss.
What if we found out that George Washington was a woman or a hermaphrodite? How wild would that be?
Or if he felt like he was a woman, was trapped inside what used to be a man's body.
That's it!
Seriously, what? You couldn't be transsexual.
Dude,
back
intersex people have always been around. I wondered what they did with them. That's for another podcast. Intersex people have always been around, meaning they were born with both male and female genitalia.
Because if you wanted to be a cross-dresser in the colonial times, it was you fucking came out every day dressed like a woman.
Or you were just French. That's what
True.
they did. That's what Bardo's people did.
What do you mean?
I mean, they would fucking dress as women. They would put on goats' heads, bangs each other, and they would chop lesser people's heads off in guillotines. That's what and they eat cheese.
That's what Bardo
That's what
does.
they do.
Yeah.
And that's why the peasants stormed the fucking palaces, Versailles and all that, and they had a French Revolution because his ancestors were cutting people's heads off, and they were walking
and
around
telling them to eat cake.
And they were telling them to eat cheese and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But check this out, cuzzies.
Yeah.
Marquis de Lafayette, George Washington, as a token of appreciation, as a sign of friendship, as a sign of loyal partnership, a sign of partnership, sent him, because George Washington loved hunting, and he had foxhounds. So the Marquis Lafayette sent him a dog, and that dog ended up becoming the American foxhound. George Washington is known as the father of the American foxhound. He sent him French hounds, and George Washington started breeding them, and that is considered to be the first American foxhounds, cuz.
So anytime I see an American foxhound on the street, that's George Washington's
It's a
baby
descendant.
right there.
It's a descendant. Yeah, the American foxhounds are a descendant of Marquis Lafayette's gift to George Washington of French hounds.
Next time you see an American foxhound, if you don't get down on one knee, you're a fucking piece of shit and you're loyal to ISIS.
Exactly.
That's basically what you're trying to
And
say.
guess what he did? And guess what
You're
the
loyal
American
to
foxhounds
ISIS?
are considered?
What?
Better. They're better than the French hounds. Why? Because we're fucking American. We make everything better.
That's what we do. We make it bigger, we make it better. All right, cuz, thank you for telling us about dogs.
That's a nice little nature note, cuz.
Yo, it's a podcast about history and nature.
So we're talking about what's happening at the time. Horse shit and foxhounds.
That's what it is, cuz. I mean, it's history hyenas.
That's right.
You know? Okay, so what I said before was it's actually a little bit of blessing in disguise that New York was captured by the Brits right away. Because what happened there is George Washington. Now, George Washington, like I said, not everybody that fought in the Continental Army, including the general, George Washington, used to fight in the British Army.
Oh, this is where it gets good.
Used to fight in the British Army because in the French and Indian War because we were British subjects. So in the British Army, in the French and Indian War, when Washington was fighting for the Brits, he learned espionage. So Washington was a master at espionage, and he said, now that New York is gone, and the reason, this historical significance of New York back in the day wasn't because we had dope pizza and the New York Yankees.
Not yet.
That wasn't why New York was dope.
Not yet.
And Fashion Week. That wasn't it. And
Robert De Niro, not yet.
Not yet. We didn't have Bobby D yet. The big reason why is because, for tactical reasons, because New York split the northern colonies and the southern colonies. So when New York was lost, it was pretty much, there was a northern campaign that Washington was fighting, and then there was a southern campaign that the southern states were fighting against General Cornwallis. And then we had a bunch of generals thrown in, but basically General Cornwallis from the British Army was the one who was fighting the southern campaign. So what happens is Washington says, okay, now we got taken over. There's a lot of loyalists in New York, but there's also a lot of patriots that are just trapped because basically the British soldiers are surrounding them. So what Washington does is he gets word to a couple of trusted confidants who are basically trapped there and says, I need you guys to start spying. It was British headquarters. This wasn't just a bunch of Brits. This was the headquarters of the entire British army was in New York. So he was...
Their empire's stronghold on the colonies
was in New York City.
In New York City.
Was basically downtown Manhattan.
Yep.
So Washington knew that. Washington, look, we lost it. He tried hard. He tried hard to defend it, but unfortunately, there was only 5 main roads back then that went in and out of Lower Manhattan and Brooklyn. That was basically New York.
No, in Brooklyn. There was 5 main roads in Brooklyn, and he armed 4 of them, and he only left 5 dudes on one.
In Jamaica Path, it was called, and that's where Britain sent their entire fucking army.
Yeah.
And in Prospect Park, if you guys know Prospect Park, there's a huge hill there, which I know that hill. You know that.
Running that hill's
Running
tough.
that hill's a bitch. It's where used to get where Giannis and I get jacked every fucking morning.
Absolutely.
And that's where Washington sent his entire army as the stronghold because they're like they got to come up this hill, but because they had secretly gotten through the one pass that Washington did not defend, they came up the back way and we got surrounded and we basically just had to peace out. Yo, Washington was dope at retreating.
He was
dope at giving up. He was like, I can't do this anymore.
He knew when to fold him.
Yo, in a way, I feel like I'm descending to Washington because that's how I am with relationships. When shit gets hard, I'm like, I'm fucking out of here, and girls get mad at me, but yo, I fucking am getting puss.
Yo, but the colonialists got fucking beat bad.
They got their fucking asses kicked.
Bad.
And there was a group called the Maryland 400, which is actually like the Maryland like 250 we found out.
260, yeah.
250, 260. What they did is they basically sacrificed almost all of them. I think only 12 survived. We're going to sacrifice you. We're going to fight the entire British army right now. Like thousands of British dudes. We're going to fight them so you guys can just leave and we'll hold them off. And they did that. And right now...
that's how New Yorkers get down.
Yeah, that's how we do. We sacrificed.
Yeah.
That's what we do. It's like,
like when 9/11 happened. We were all ready to fight.
Yeah.
That's how New Yorkers are.
That's what it is.
We'll sacrifice ourselves.
Yeah.
But we got beat bad.
We got beat. Yeah, we got our asses kicked. Yeah. And
retreat.
Most of the bodies of those Maryland 400 are buried in the Gowanus Canal. If you're ever down there, that's where most of the bodies are. But that's what they think. So we lost New York right away, as we said. But that, like I said, that was okay because the spies. So we have a couple of big-time spies. We have a spy in Setauket, Long Island, named Abraham Woodhull, who was a cabbage farmer, who he went to school with one of General Washington's trusted majors called Major Ben Talmadge. They grew up in Setauket together, and Talmadge was a sick freedom fighter, very high up, one of in Washington's main cabinet. He recruits Woodhull to spy from Setauket because the Long Island Sound, he would come from Setauket, because the Brits came through Long Island. That's kind of another thing that they did, is they took all of New York. They took the entire island of they took the entire landmass of Long Island, and then they came down and they fucking and they took Brooklyn and Manhattan. So there's British soldiers everywhere. Woodhull would risk his life almost every day, or every week, taking information that he would hear in Long Island and take it down back to Washington's headquarters, which I think at the time were in Connecticut. We just crossed the Long Island Sound. But how Woodhull would get the information is there was another guy. There was a couple of guys. There was a guy named Austin Rowe, and then there was what's this fucking idiot's name? Robert Townsend. Not an idiot. It's a painter. I'm an idiot. That's what I meant to say. Robert Townsend and Austin Rowe. They basically, Robert Townsend was co-owner of a pub there where all the British soldiers used to drink, and all newspapers used to come out. It was called the Rivington Gazette, right on Rivington. So what they would do is Townsend would just be pouring brewskis. These British soldiers want to go get fucked up. I mean, yo, you're across the ocean. You know, you're away from your wife and your kids. You know, you're in London. You're in beautiful London. Now you're in New York. I mean, you don't know what this is. You think we're all filth bags. You know, we're all gross. I mean, the head of our army's got fucking wooden teeth. I mean, that's literally the guy we annoyed. He's got wooden fucking teeth. So we're just British soldiers drinking, carrying on, having a good time. Little did they know that the guys pouring their brewsks, Robert Townsend, was listening to everything they said. And General Clinton himself, who was the counterpart in a way of George Washington for the Northern Army of Britain, would go in there, drink brewsks, and he would basically spill ideas to the soldiers. Yo, we're gonna take Charleston, South Carolina. You know, we're gonna flank our army. We're gonna divide our army. We're gonna fucking, we're gonna take Valley Forge. I mean, there was a disaster at Valley Forge. We lost half our army, but Washington, only even knew to cross the Delaware because it's spies. That's the only reason he fucking, it was a spy warfare game back then.
It's always huge in war.
Yeah,
huge in war.
Yeah,
you need to have spies.
You need to have rats.
I mean,
that's what you need to have.
I mean, yeah, the intelligence in warfare has been, since the beginning of time, has played an important role. Has been an important aspect of conducting war since the beginning of time.
Right. So Woodhull and Townsend, they eventually called it the Culper Spy Ring. It was supposed to be called Samuel Culpeper, and then they didn't like the name, so they said Culper. So if you ever heard of the Culper Ring, that's what we're talking about right now. Samuel Culper, who was Abraham Woodhull, which we only these secrets were so tight and so close to the chest. Still to this day, historians, dope historians, like not hyenas, I'm talking about people who went to school for this shit, actually still don't know every single member of the spy rings. And some of the British people who they think were members of a British spy ring could have actually been colonial spies. That's how, some of them they just know. Like they know what George Washington's number was, because we go by numbers. That's how it was. They weren't just calling themselves Abraham Woodhull, Robert Townsend, George Washington. It was, spy number 705, spy number 123, blah, blah, blah. So without those spies, without Washington having spies inside New York City, he would have never known some of the biggest moves that the British Army was going to make. So, look, war is it's all about fudging the numbers, and it's all about spying, and sometimes you got to do dirty shit. Like, okay, the Battle of Saratoga. The Battle of Saratoga is the turning point of the American Revolutionary War. That's what they say. And basically why it's a turning point is because, listen, truth be told, I'm going to be honest with you, France was watching from afar. They hate the Brits. Of course they hate the Brits, but the main prize was North America. So they were saying, look, whoever we think is going to win this war, that's who we're going to go with.
Yeah.
So what happened is Battle of Saratoga, we did win fair and square. We won it. But when we sent the numbers back to France, we fudged that shit, cuz.
Gotta fudge it.
Yeah, we said we beat them bad. Truth be told, we didn't beat them bad.
Yeah.
We didn't beat them bad.
France was like a big wealthy donor.
Yeah.
Who donates to both parties.
Yes.
And it's like, all right, look, I'm hedging my bets. Whoever wins, I'm with you guys.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we won.
But they helped us bad.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We won by the skin of our teeth.
They were rooting for us.
They were rooting for us because they don't like the Brits.
No.
Deep down, it's like, I just don't like you.
Yeah.
It's kind of, they were fighting, they've been fighting since 1066. They've been, Britain and France have been fighting. So basically when the Battle of Saratoga, we told France, look, Lafayette, all these dudes, the King Louis, we said, look, dudes, we beat the shit out of Britain. We're going to beat the shit out of them some more. And then France said, okay, we're going to send our entire army because we hate Britain. And that's why it's the turning point of the war, because to be honest with you, Giannis, I'm going to say this, and you know I mean no disrespect, and you know I bleed red, white, and blue. You know I'm a patriot, dude. You know fucking me, cuz. You know I'm a patriot.
I would never question your patriotism.
Don't question,
If I found out you were a spy, if I found out you were on some Benedict Arnold shit,
no.
If you were on some Donnie Brasco shit,
Never.
it would break my fucking heart.
Cuz.
If I knew you were working out with ISIS and you were hanging out with Zach in Astoria, creating bombs in a basement, like the reason why he's got tape on his glasses, because he's probably using the pin that holds it together to put into an explosive device.
Got radium all over his eyes.
I mean, it would break my heart.
Because I can't even grow facial hair to be an ISIS. That's why I throw happy, because I'm a patriot.
If I found out you were Benedict Arnold, I would fucking.
We'll never do it to you, cuz.
Me and Debo would fucking kill you in your sleep.
No, I would never do it. But I'm gonna be honest.
We do it for the Mets and we do it for America.
But what I was saying, cuz, is I'm gonna tell you the truth. We wouldn't have won the war without France. We couldn't have won, even though we're patriots and we don't die and you can't kill us. We weren't gonna win if France didn't send their entire army. That Paul Revere, little mighty, Paul Revere, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, is true to a point. But, he didn't ride the horses all up and down the 13 colonies. It didn't happen. We weren't a little mighty band of American ruthless patriots that beat the mighty British Army, because, France won.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? What's really interesting about history, and right now I'm picking our next episode. How do you like that? You know how we are?
That's how wild we get.
We get wild. Are you ready for me to pick the next episode?
Yes.
And I'm going to pick it off of the heels of the statement I'm about to say.
Okay.
In history is as much fiction as it is fact.
Yes.
I mean, you can't. When you have humans involved in telling the story, there's always going to be emotions in there, right? When you hear about the Revolutionary War and you hear about that period in the founding of America, all the emphasis is always on the colonists.
Right.
It's always on the Americans and George Washington and stuff like that. But what you just said is a fact.
Right.
We could not have won without France.
Truth.
That goes for every revolution, every uprising in history.
Right.
There's always some help from some strong that doesn't really make it into the history books because they want to keep that propaganda going. That's why you got statues of George Washington 18 feet tall. He was a great man, but he had fucking wooden teeth. Without the French, a guy with wooden teeth couldn't win it on his own, cuz.
No chance.
He retreated
a
lot of times.
And, but he was a master at retreating. That's why he kept his army whole.
He wasn't, but he also got lucky with that fog when they retreated off of Long Island.
Tell him about that. That's nature right there.
Nature, cuz.
See how nature always makes an appearance? Tell him about the fog, cuz.
They were trying to figure out a way to get his troops out to retreat back to...
When we were leaving New York City one night.
After they got their asses beaten bad.
We got our fucking asses handed to us by the Brits. We're in Brooklyn Heights, right by the Brooklyn Bridge right now, if you guys know New York, Brooklyn Heights, and we got to get across the water. We got to get our entire army, okay? Not a platoon, the entire Continental Army. We got to get them across the water to get them off Brooklyn onto the island of Manhattan, which there weren't as many British soldiers there. We were able to escape and get up to Harlem Heights right now. But, cuz, tell them what happened.
Fog, cuz. Fog happened. Nature happened.
Yeah.
It was a rainy, foggy day, like a day when you got a good view in Brooklyn and you can usually see the skyline of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Mother Nature comes in and says, nah, not today.
Because we were evacuating them at night. So the plan was to evacuate them all, not to make a sound, no candles, nothing. While the British soldiers are sleeping, they say the army's right there, and we're going to evacuate our entire army at night. What happens is, because we're moving so many people, and you got a couple of dudes who probably were acting like fucking assholes, and probably drunk, drinking rum, whatever, you just lost a big battle. What happened is daylight comes. Now it's daybreak. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun's supposed to be coming out, and we're still ferrying people. But the fog. Nature threw a fucking nice fart.
Luck.
Fucking smoked us out.
Smoked it out.
And listen, that's why Jesus wasn't American. I tell you that with confidence. If Jesus wasn't American, how is it just foggy to save our country?
Can you imagine that scene? Just like them just floating into the boats across, just disappearing into the fog.
Yeah.
British can't see them, can't shoot. We did not lose one soldier in that retreat.
Zero.
In a retreat that was deemed to be almost impossible to not have casualties because the British were right there and they were looking to pluck us out of the water. We did not lose one freaking soldier because of that fog.
Not one, cuz. American, we are efficient.
And here's the next episode. I'm picking it off the heels of that statement I just made.
No, we got a couple more minutes to tell you, but
we do.
Go.
Fucking Battle of Crete. We're going in. Battle of Crete. World War II. We're going Nazis. We're jumping all the way from the Revolution, and we're jumping to 44.
That's what you want to do.
That's what I want to do.
I'm going to come in with a piece of spanakopita in my ass.
And the reason why I'm picking that is because the Greek lore is that, you know, the villagers, the Greek army, fought valiantly, and because the Germans had to spend so much time in taking the island of Crete, they prolonged their invasion of Russia, and then that put them into the winter, and that's how they really lost the war.
That's going to be a sick episode.
But in actuality, there was New Zealand, Australian, and British battalions there that really did the bulk of the fighting. But the Greeks always emphasize the Greek resistance. And there was Greek resistance, as there was colonial resistance. But without the British and the New Zealand and the Australian troops, the Battle of Crete would not have taken 11 days.
And I don't think you guys understand how painful that probably was for Giannis just to admit. I mean, Giannis comes tzatziki sauce. That's how Greek Giannis is.
Exactly.
Giannis is the top Greek, the fucking commander of the gay Greeks is Giannis Papas. Is Janos Mykonos Papas. What's your middle name? Papadoudas?
Giannis Fredrikos Christos Papas.
Yeah, I mean that's not even English.
Yeah.
It's Greek.
Yeah.
So, and like you said,
but we use that to our advantage.
Right.
Because we've been conquered so many. You want to know why Greek names are so hard to pronounce, Bardo? You want to know?
I want to know.
You want to know, Chris?
And this is bleeding into a little bit in the next episode, but go ahead.
You want to know why they're so hard to pronounce? You ever wondered why I can't pronounce all these last names?
Yeah.
I can't pronounce these last names. We did that on purpose. So when the conquerors came, the Romans, the Ottomans, the Germans, and they're trying to say, what's your name? We're trying to remember you. We need to know who the spies are. We need to know who these fucking local spies are who are heading up this resistance. We want to know who the guerrillas are in the mountains. What's their name? I said, my name is Giannis Fredrikos Christos Papas. And they couldn't fucking remember it, because it had too many syllables. So it was always an advantage that Greeks had over people that they couldn't remember fucking names.
Cause
they're like, who's the guy who's spying out? Who's the guy who's spying in our regiment? Who's the guerrillas in the mountains? I told you his name, Giannis Christos Fredrikos Papas, and they couldn't fucking remember.
I still can't, I can't tell you how many times I just call you John, because I can't remember Giannis.
I just told you a history fact that's not a history fact that you didn't know.
It's fucking beautiful.
Maybe I just came up with a new segment.
Yeah, but
a history fact that's not a history fact that you didn't know.
Boom. Well, but like you said, a lot of the history, one of our main spies back in the day was Nathan Hale.
This is good stuff.
A lot of people know Nathan Hale, 22-year-old cutie. Yo, you want to talk about cute?
Go look at the statue down in City Hall.
City Hall
They
Park.
made him
cute. He's fucking cute. Ripped up, got his shirt ripped up, nice sweet pecs. Truth be told, nobody knew what Nathan Hale looked like. Guy never sat for his portrait. He was 22 years old, from Yale. George Washington sent him out to be a spy. Literally 25 days later, this guy gets fucking caught.
I mean, not that good a spy.
Not that good a spy. Gets hung right away. And, you may have heard his famous last words. I only regret that I have but one life to live for my country. Lies, cuzzy wuzzy. False. George Washington wrote that a couple of weeks later to mark him as a true patriot. Because look at how fucking dope this dude was.
Propaganda.
Nobody knew what he said.
Right.
He may have said something close. I'm not saying the guy was a pussy. He may have
could have been.
He may have hung like a fucking man.
He could have been, though. But the point is, George Washington said that, and that ties into what I was saying.
Yeah.
History is often as much fiction as it is fact, just like this podcast is going to be half fiction, half fact. You know what I mean?
Because just like being Americans, so we know so much about the Revolutionary War, colonial times. We know all about our figures, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, all these guys, blah, blah, blah. Yo, the rest of the world, just like how we operate with Fahrenheit and inches, the rest of the world, they don't learn about our revolution. They don't know anything about it. They know about the French Revolution.
Which we inspired.
Exactly, we inspired. That started in 1789 with Napoleon Bonaparte, which Debo, you think you were taller or shorter than Napoleon?
I'm in search of an extended.
You think he was shorter? Debo gets mad if there's a shorter guy in the room with him. He wants to
love
be the
me.
shorter
How
guy.
tall are you? Pick up the mic.
Pick up the mic.
5'8" on a good day.
5'8"?
5'8", my ass.
No, you're not 5'8".
You're not
How tall are
5'8".
you, honestly?
My license says 5'5".
5'5"?
lied.
What was
I might have
Napoleon?
lied.
5'4"?
He was a little guy.
Yeah, but
I'm
Debo,
taller?
but you don't have rage. You don't have little guy rage.
No, he accepts it.
That's called LGS, little guy syndrome.
Yeah, but you don't have.
No, I don't have that. I'm just
No.
a cool guy.
And you're a Mets fan. You got a lot to be mad
I
about.
shouldn't be. I'm always mad at something. Mets make me mad mostly.
Yeah, man. Though you,
Inside rage.
yeah.
Inside rage.
You were falling asleep over there. You were hungover last night. Debo got fucking trashed last night.
It was a long
Yeah.
day.
Debo got 10 out of 10 drunk last night.
Yo, Nathan Hale.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe he slipped with his accent? You think he slipped with his accent?
Well,
That's
he's
how he
from
got
Yale.
caught.
Don't forget Nathan Hale was
He
from Yale.
probably had a pretty good fake British accent. He was walking around, hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Thank
so,
you.
where are they going to be?
Would you like some porridge?
Are these the positions over here?
Hey, can
and
you
then
tell
he
me?
slept. He said one. He went, where are the positions over here? And they fucking caught
yeah,
him.
they said,
He's
yo,
a fucking New Yorker.
Oh, you fucking grease monkey!
And then he just let it out because and then he just probably went wild. He's like, fuck you, fuck your mother. I'm a fucking revolutionary.
Yeah.
Sons of Liberty all fucking day, cuz.
That's what I do, cuz.
He probably called him fucking cuz.
Sons of Liberty, cuz.
And then they caught him.
They caught him. They hung him up. He said, hang me, cuz.
Yeah, because it's hard to keep that fucking stupid accent going.
Yeah.
Hello. So where's
You
the
can't do
positions here?
You would have never been able to hang me with this head. I would have broke a fucking rope or two, right?
Yeah, you got a helmet
Big head.
Yeah. They wouldn't have been able to hang you.
And they said that the hanging spot was down in Battery Park City, but truth be told, it probably wasn't. It was on like 66th Street and 3rd Avenue on the Upper East Side.
Yeah, and I wonder why they put it down there. I wonder why they did that.
Because people just pick shit. Okay, I mean, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, I don't know. It's
Look,
probably.
I give credit to these real historians though, because I think it is important to get the facts straight.
Yeah.
And it
You
used
can't
to
just Google shit.
You can't just go. But I mean, these guys do research. They do archaeology. They look through records. They figure it out, man.
Right.
They get to the bottom of shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? They excavate. They get to the bottom. It's like for years, everyone thought Nathan Hale got hanged downtown. Not fucking true, cuz.
And what he said and his famous last words are probably most likely not his last words.
They weren't even his last. George Washington said that shit.
Yeah.
To keep the myth going.
Yeah.
Of patriotism.
Yeah.
He probably got hung on the Upper East Side, right? Hanged.
That's what they said. They hung him up on the Upper East
He
Side.
probably got hanged where Zabar's is now.
Yeah, well, that's what Colin Quinn says in his thing. He said, yeah, there's probably a fucking Starbucks there.
Listen, I know we're New York guys and we're talking about New York, and this may sound a little regional to you, but guess what? New York is really where the country started.
Truth.
New York is where, so you need to learn about
Yeah,
this.
because guess what, cuzzies? I know you guys think, I know right now, present day America, the capital is Washington, D.C. Guess what the first one was? New York City, as Mr. Ponders would say, baby.
Baby.
New York City,
baby.
First capital, and the only reason why we had to move it is because fucking Thomas Jefferson, who I guess, look, TJ, even though he didn't like New York, Thomas Jefferson
Hated it.
hated New York City. He said when he would go back to Virginia, he said, I can't wait to go back to my country.
Yeah.
So he thought New Yorkers were animals. I
And
guess
Thomas
we are
Jefferson,
animals.
Thomas Jefferson, I know you're in the grave right now. You were a great patriot, but from one New Yorker to you, go fuck yourself for that.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you for saying that.
So he wanted the capital to be moved more down south. So after New York, it was in Philly while they were building the one currently now Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C., of course, was picked because it was right in between the northern and southern colonies. It was, pretty much equidistant, which makes sense. But now, I mean, the capital should be Chicago. I mean, now, because we
want to be in the middle, right?
You got to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because...
I mean, D.C. wasn't even a city. They carved it out. They carved it out of Maryland and Virginia as a compromise between the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans, and that whole split that we're still dealing with today between urban people and rural people, between government people and states' rights people.
Yeah.
That goes all the way back to Alexander Hamilton and freaking Thomas Jefferson and their beef about strong central government or fucking states' rights, cuz we're still dealing with this. But guess what? New York City is still fucking New York City.
Still New York City.
We bleed red, white, and blue.
Absolutely. And the Revolutionary War itself actually ended, if you think about it, it actually ended in 1783, which we know, but it ended right here in New York. Francis Tavern is the place where George Washington finally, because the British, like I said, the war ain't over until it's over. The British got to go. So the British...
Yogi Berra said that.
That's exactly... And
another New Yorker.
Talk about a true patriot.
Yeah.
Yogi Berra. Yeah. Fucking New York. If you're a New York Yankee, you're a patriot.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So when the British finally left on Evacuation Day, they finally left.
Which used to be a holiday.
Which used to be a holiday.
They used to climb the flagpole.
Yeah. I think it was
I don't know why we don't do that
November
anymore.
25th, 1783, because he's now it's Thanksgiving, kind of Thanksgiving holidays. But yeah, what they used to do is it was called Evacuation Day, and it's when the last group of British soldiers finally left New York, and that's when the Revolutionary War officially came to an end. But just as an act of a fuck you that the British had to do, just to be like, you fucking, which, listen, to be honest with you, I get it. You guys got beat bad. Maybe France hit their entire army, but you still fucking lost. Sorry about that. What they did was the last remaining British flag, which was right in downtown Manhattan, they nailed a British flag to the top and they greased up the pole just to be assholes. So now some kid had to design these cleat shoes to climb the pole and take down the British flag and put our stars and stripes up there. Just to be. So it's like that's kind of funny that you guys did. That's like a nice joke.
We made it into a holiday.
Yeah, we made it.
You gave us lemon. We made lemonade out of it.
That's how we roll.
And that's what we did with your dumb trick of putting the grease in the flagpole.
Because we're true blue Americans.
And we got it accomplished. And the first football cleats were probably created from that guy.
Exactly. Football. Yeah.
You didn't hear from me.
And then the very very final act it did is they're about, I don't know how many fucking nautical mile, half nautical mile, whatever, away on their.
Wait, let's ask Debo. He's a pilot.
Yeah, because you're a pilot.
How many nautical miles were they away?
About 23.
23 miles.
22 nautical miles.
Yeah.
The last British ship was leaving. The last British ship was leaving, and we were, as colonial patriots do, we were hooting and hollering, telling them to go fuck their mothers back in England, telling them to suck our dicks. They shot a cannon. The British shot one last cannonball trying to fuck with us, and it landed right in the water. Just missed, dickheads.
Yeah.
You just missed, okay? Just like you just missed keeping North America, because that shit is ours now. That shit is fucking ours now.
That's right.
And you guys, you hyenas, you just heard. Look, nothing we said was a lie. Maybe our methods were unconventional, and and we sound like garlic knots that can speak, but. Bro,
you do. I speak well.
You do speak.
I would have been a good spy back then.
You would have been a fucking loyalist, and I would have cut your fucking head off.
I would have been a good spy.
I would have killed you and Bardo. Me and Zach would have killed you and Bardo right away.
I could exist anywhere. You could not get away with it.
Yeah.
Because you can't not talk like that. You sound like a loyalist from New York.
Right.
But me, I could go in there, and I'll drink tea with these guys.
Yeah.
And I will right now, I'm probably talking the way they talked back then. Probably just with like a little British twang, but also sounding like a little gay and American. Right? So I didn't sound like a garlic nut. I sounded like a guy, hey, I'm a loyalist, guys. This is how New Yorkers talk.
So
I'm on your side, and I'm getting the facts, and I'm bringing them back to my fucking brothers who are sitting there in Fort fucking Greene and Fort Hamilton. I'm giving you the fucking secrets. These are where these fucking redcoats are gonna be. Let's go fucking blow these cousins up, cuz.
Wild.
See? And you know what George Washington did at the end to celebrate? He went to Francis fucking Tavern, stayed there for a week, drank, and he definitely went down on chicks with his wooden teeth, cuz.
100%.
Before he marched all the way to Annapolis and fucking resigned, because he was a great patriot with his pussy that we know he had because of the statue that's down there in Wall Street.
Yeah.
He's got a vagina. He went down to fucking Annapolis, Maryland, where we went.
Yes.
And he gave
Capital Maryland.
He gave a hair-raising speech about how he was going to resign. He was going to resign his military life and go back to being a civilian because he didn't want the military to be in control of this great, new, beautiful country.
And then John Adams became the second president, a.k.a. Paul Giamatti. But when he left New York Francis Tavern, there was a couple of chicks walking around downtown with splinters in their pussies.
For sure.
100%.
We would not have won this war without spies.
No, 100%.
I don't think
spies,
so.
Today's podcast was about it's okay to be a rat if you're ratting out the Brits for our independence. Cuzzies.
Otherwise, don't be a rat.
Otherwise, don't ever be a rat. And if we ever find out you're a rat, we'll kick you right off Patreon. No, we're kidding. We need your money.
Yeah.
No, we don't need your money. We want your money because we want you to be a part of the community. That's why we want you guys to keep donating to Patreon. You're a part of our community. You're our brothers. You're our sisters. You're our non-binaries. Whatever you want. We're with you. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for all your support so far. It's been fucking... We seriously can't do this without you, cuz, right?
Nope.
Cuzzies and cuzzettes, we cannot do this without your support. So we really, really, really appreciate it. If you guys like the podcast,